Good morning, everybody. Welcome on a very, I don't know about you, rainy day here in London, but we'll make it sunshine here. Anyway, we'll just get everybody in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to our Visibility Day. Really excited to be here with Lloyds Bank Academy, hosting this fantastic day for you today. We've got some amazing experts to be sharing with you all about how to really get visible in your business in different ways. Yeah, peeing down in Essex. Do you know, I love a weather report. So yeah, let us know where you are and what's going on. I look like I've had a perm because I got completely drenched this morning taking my child to school. But there we go. All the seasons in one day, all the seasons. So it's lovely to have you here. As we're letting everybody in, I just want to tell you what today is about. We're doing a visibility day in partnership with Lloyds Bank Academy. Lloyds Bank Academy is a free on-demand online learning platform providing resources to help people and their businesses increase their financial resilience, digital skills and employability. The platform has business-specific topics free for anyone to help and support their business journey. So find out more by scanning that QR code, which you can see on your screen now, and you'll go directly to the Lloyds Bank Academy website. So do have a little nosy. There's so much on there. There's great resource. And we've got Adam from the Lloyds Bank Academy with us in the chat as well today, who'll be sharing links and answering questions. So to kick off our Visibility Day, we have the brilliant Mark Tompkins from Aubergine, who we have been working with for a long time, who is incredible. And he's going to be talking about how to make your website work harder for you. Because at the end of the day, our website is the window into our brand, isn't it? And it's the first thing that people judge us on, let's be honest. So I will hand over to Mark. Thank you so much. We're going to get to questions, but if we could get to questions at the end, that would be brilliant. So if you've got any questions, please pop them in the Q&A box or pop them in the chat and we will try and get to them as much as we can. But if we don't get to your question, we'll try our hardest to answer it as well. And please do stay around. We've got our next Visibility Day webinar at 11 o'clock with the lovely Catherine George talking about social media. And then at 1 o'clock, you're back with me and we're talking all about sales with the lovely Betsy Ben. All right, I'm going to hand over to Mark. Thank you so much, Mark.
Karen, thank you. And welcome everybody to the first of 3 sessions on this Visibility Day, supported by Lloyds Bank Academy. My name is Mark Tompkins and I run a web agency called Aubergine in sunny Leighton Buzzard. Actually, that's a complete and utter lie. It's hacking down with rain. But what am I going to talk to you about today? Well, I'm going to talk to you about how to make your website work harder. All of us, including Aubergine, we are a small business. There are 14 of us, so we are a small business. And we need to make sure that all of our marketing efforts are as optimized and as best performing as we possibly can. Now, the point of sale, if you aren't running a shop, a physical bricks and mortar shop, that's not what today is about. If you are operating from your website, whether you are selling online or whether you offer services that people can inquire about, ultimately, they are going to end up at your website. You can use successfully social media to make people aware of your business and what you do. And the lovely Catherine George is going to go into that in a lot more detail at the 11 o'clock onwards session. Today, I'm going to talk to you about getting found on Google and how to make sure your website is as optimized as it can be, because if you can't be found on Google, you're nowhere. You're in the middle of that desert that's on your screen right now with the digital tumbleweed rolling on by. There's something like 9.64 billion websites on the internet. And to expect your website to just magically appear at the top when somebody searches for something is, to a large degree, a little unrealistic unless you put some effort in. This session is going to be about the things that you can do to improve your chances. So let's get stuck in. And by the way, I'm going to refer to Google mostly. And the reason why that is, it's because that in the UK, Google makes up about 80% of most search engine usage. Bing is the other one. Bing's Microsoft's offering. Some people have that on their computer by default because Microsoft computers will automatically use the Bing browser if you don't change it. So let's talk about some fundamental search engine basics. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, how do those search engines work? Really, there are a lot of contributing factors, and this is why it's quite hard to get to grips with things. There are lots of things that overall contribute and affect how well your website is going to appear in a Google search. You can affect, for the most part, all of them. So you can contribute to all of the things that I'm going to be going through with and have a positive effect. And let's be clear, the more of these things you do, the greater the chance that your website is going to climb those ranks on searches. But remember this, none of this is guaranteed. Why? Well, it's Google's bat. It's Google's ball. It's Google's game. Their platform is set up to deliver one thing, and that is successful search results. So let's give you the best chance that you possibly can. On your screen right now are probably the most important 7 aspects of improving your chances to be found on Google. Making sure that you've got a well-built website. That might sound like a patently obvious thing to say, but it is all too common to see websites that are really poorly built, they don't work very well, and as is there on point number 3, not very mobile friendly. So a well-built site, making sure that your pages have got metadata, so good page titles and descriptions, and the content is good. We're going to come on to content later on in the session. You expect a website to look good, work well when you search for stuff in your personal life. Well, your customers, believe it or not, expect the same, only you're on the other end of it. Another aspect is making sure that your website is fast. That is a really important thing. Slow websites don't work for Google, and they will definitely appear lower down the ranking if it's a slow, clunky site. Google, fortunately, has a fantastic tool. It's called Core Web Vitals, and you can test the speed of your website. I will go into this later on, how you can use that. Mobile experience, which is what I said also earlier on. Look, 80+% of all surfing is done on a mobile phone, usually either from the sofa or a train or something like that. But generally speaking, the mobile experience is primary. Google is mobile first. Now, another contributing factor are third-party verification. So links from other people's website to you. Why is that important? Well, Google doesn't trust you. Google doesn't trust me either. But it trusts the accumulation of other people to have the same opinion. So if lots of people link to your website, then that helps. Again, I'm going to go into third-party verification in a little while. Then, of course, there are Google's own services. Google Business Page, you should claim it. I'll show you how. Reviews, again, it goes down to that third-party verification. If somebody else has said these people are good, this product is good, Google's going to trust that. Humans are going to trust it. And you'll start to see throughout this morning, you'll start to see this connection between if it's good for people, it's good for Google, and vice versa. Okay. And then the last part really is be the expert. Everybody on this call today will be an expert in what you do. And you might be just embarking on your small business creation, or you might have been doing it a few years. But either way, you know the things that you want to say. Be an expert, demonstrate that expression of expertise. And again, I'm going to come on to this in more detail later on. So these are the 7 key things that all contribute to improving search engine positioning. So why is this important? Well, search engines, Google specifically, have got but one job to do, and that is to deliver someone to a website exactly what they searched for. Let's call Google as a matchmaker. If I searched for new Nike golf shoes, which I might just have happened to have done, I want to be able to see pages come back that demonstrate lots of new Nike golf shoes. It's an obvious thing, right? But some people overcomplicate it. But that's fundamentally what this is all about, matchmaking. You search for this, I'm going to show you that. And Google wants to do it really, really well. It doesn't want for you to search for A and listings come up, but they're not quite right. And you click through and you go to a website and you think, wait a minute, this isn't quite right. This isn't what I searched for. And you go back to Google. That is a fail. It used to be known as bounce. So it's all about matchmaking. What you search for, the web page that you get delivered. Well, the key thing here is about trust. Google needs to be able to trust you as in your website, the website owner, that it's a safe and correct place to deliver people to. When I say safe, I mean beyond the realm of security and viruses and all of that. Not that, as in safe, as in a correct matchmake. Because unfortunately, people lie. Shocker, I know, but people lie. People don't tell the truth on their web pages because it's easy to lie. I have full control over the words and the pictures and the files on my website, so I'm just going to lie and I'm going to say I'm the best. And this thing does all of these things. I'm going to trick you. Google doesn't trust you to tell the truth, unfortunately. And why should it? Google trusts lots of other people to say, yes, what these people are saying is true. That's done through reviews, links to your website. It needs to trust the content, the words, the pictures, the information on your site, needs to trust that Google's matchmaking is going to be successful. So let's start with one of the key things that you, as a small business, should be doing if you are not already. There are a couple of elements to it. The first is a little bit technical, so I'll explain it in as plain English way as I can. When you search for something on Google or Bing, and on your screen now you'll see a typical search listing. What's listed in blue is the page meta title, the title of the page. What's written out in grey underneath is the page meta description. Now, by default, most search engines will grab the page title and the first sentence or so from the beginning part of the text on the web page. But in most cases, that isn't the most descriptive or explanatory, refined way of describing that page. You need to be able to control these so that and we'll use my analogy of Nike golf shoes. If I search for Nike golf shoes, I want to be delivered to a page where the page title is Nike's new golf shoes. And the grey bit says the range of 15 new golf shoes from Nike, from summer shoes to winter shoes. That's what I want to see. So you need to make sure that you have control over the metadata, that's what it's called, metadata, the page title and the meta description of each of your pages. Because when we all search for something and we see the search listing, we need to instantly see, yes, that's what I'm looking for, click. If it just says some arbitrary text that it's grabbed from the first sentence of the page, that might not necessarily be the best way to describe that page. Now, if you're using something like Squarespace, Wix, or you have a WordPress site, all of those platforms allow you to control the page title and the meta description. Now, it's quite a big task. If you've got a website that's got 10, 15, 20 pages, you're going to need to do it for each. What I'm showing you on the screen is the home page. So the home page meta description, which is for my own business, the homepage meta description needs to be fairly broad. It's not that specific. We're website designers. We're based in Leighton Buzzard. We serve the UK. We design branding and build websites throughout a process-driven method. That's what we do. This is written specifically for the meta description. So this is a really helpful technique. Now, what also sits beside how your pages get listed in search results is the Google Business Profile. That's what's over there on the right-hand side. So when you search for stuff, particularly locally, Google is very much focused on local, wants to serve up things that are service-driven or product-driven local to you. You get this page here. If you haven't already claimed your Google Business page, go and claim it. Go into Google and search Google Business and start the process. It's free. It's one of the very last services that Google offered that is free. You can make sure that all of the information is set up. And this is where you can also control, as you can see there, your Google reviews and those star ratings, because those review star ratings get pulled through in lots of places across the internet. This is a very important thing to take control of. And of course, you appear on the maps as well, as you can see there. And this is a very, very successful way to achieve good local searching. This doesn't appear if you are trying to achieve a national search result, because obviously it can't show the map of the whole country. This is about local. But what you get is a placement on the map. All of this stuff appears in the search results right near the top, underneath the advertising, because Google want to encourage most businesses to spend money on Google ads, and why not? You know, those guys have got jets that they need to fuel and such like. And Google Ads is a very, very successful method. But what we're talking about here are the free methods. So go into Google, search Google Business, and begin that setup process. Now, some of you often say to me, oh, but Mark, I work from home. I don't want my address showing. That is a little bit tricky, because if you want to be found on a Google search result, Google needs to know where you are. So you might need to think about having a postal address of some kind. Recently, when I say recently, in the latter few years, occasionally Google do offer small businesses to be able to choose to hide the address. It'll still come up in search results, but it doesn't appear often. It is a sort of a beta service that flows in and out, and sometimes it's there, sometimes it isn't. And whether you get displayed that option or not is entirely up to the Google algo. I can't teach you how to make that happen, I'm afraid. But if you are a small business and you have not claimed your Google Business Profile, you should go ahead and do it, because you are then going to be able to make use of the reviews platform, which is excellent. So, Google Business Reviews. As you can see on the screen there, making use of reviews, that third-party verification, that third-party proof that somebody else has gone before you and had a positive experience. This is really good. This is really important, and still free service by Google. As you can see on the screen, this is a snapshot from our own website where we pull through those Google reviews onto our website. What it does is when somebody arrives at your website, they get that instant warm, fuzzy feeling that not only have they arrived at the right place, but others have gone before them and had a successful time. It makes them feel comforted that they're at the right place. And of course, you know, you can use these as a small business, you can use these as part of your marketing strategy. We at Aubergine successfully send out an email of thanks. So when we've built a website, or maybe when we've done a piece of work for a client, we'll send out an email of thanks saying, thank you so much for asking us. Often we'll put a particular note in there to a member of the team that we worked with. And then we will say, what helps our small business is your review of us and your experience. And we would welcome you to leave a review. I would say that my experience is 3 in 5 people, when asked, will leave a review. Try and make it part of your marketing strategy. It really is an excellent service, but you will need the Google Business profile setting up to make use of it. So we're going to get back onto search engine optimization fundamentals. Often people refer to this as SEO. I'm not a big fan of that term. It does smack a little bit of the old-fashioned days of search engine. So let's just call it search from today. Links. Let's talk about links. Good quality inbound links from other people's website. Contextual would be great. So let's just say your business is about making home fragranced candles. What would be great is a link to your website from somebody else's website. Let's just say they are a home interiors designer or something like that, and that they found this amazing smelling home fragranced candle from such and such a co, and it linked to your website. That's ideal because it's contextual. It's within the realm of home decor, fragrance, and then it links to your website. That's a good thing. Avoid, like the plague, buying links from these link selling agencies that ring you up, or directories. They have no value. They have zero value. In fact, they can often work against you. Also avoid keyword stuffing. What do I mean by that? I mean filling your web pages up with keywords and phrases that you think people might search for your business in the vain hope that it will help your page appear on the Google search listings higher. Better, well-constructed language is is more successful than keyword stuffing. Write for humans, don't write for bots. If, as I said before at the beginning, if it's good for people, it's good for Google. Now, I am going to talk about AI, GPTs. I am going to talk about that in a little while. Social channel feeds on your website. Let's talk about that one. It just slows it down. It shows people the exit sign. You will have sweated hard to get people to your website, and your website is essentially the point of sale. Why give them an exit sign to go and leave? Don't do that. Use social media as the powerful tool that it is to drive traffic to your website. And Catherine will be going into those specific things later on this morning. Social channel links also. So link from Facebook, link from X, link from Insta. They don't really help because they are locked systems. You have to have a login to use those systems. Google doesn't have a login. Google isn't inside that. So a link from your Facebook account, a link from an Insta page doesn't really help that much. Videos. Now, videos will not increase your ranking. They are helpful to users, but if you've got videos that are at the top of your website and at the top of the pages, what you're actually doing is slowing it down, and speed is everything. So have videos on a page, but not right at the top, because speed and mobile friendliness matter. It matters a lot. Now, earlier on, I talked to you about how can you measure the success of your website? It's performing, speed. Well, luckily, Google have given us a fantastic tool. It's called Core Web Vitals. And this tool will allow you to measure the speed of your website in both the desktop environment and the mobile environment. Both of these are really important. So there it is. There's the link on the screen right now. Go to pagespeed.web.dev and you can pop in your website address in there and it will analyze how fast it is. Now, there's a couple of things to mention here. One, it's going to measure the speed based on your connection, your computer. It will provide some averages across other people that use your site. But it's important to remember that if you're on a really slow internet connection and your computer is, let's just say, from the Paleolithic era, then the results that you're going to get are going to differ slightly from those who might be on a faster connection. but certainly it will tell you the sorts of things that you need to look out for. So shall we do it? Let's do it. I'm going to do it on the Aubergine website. There we go. So there we go. Left-hand side, mobile experience. Naughty, naughty, Mr. Tompkins. Right-hand side, desktop experience. Not bad. So what are we looking at here? Measurement. Basically, it's out of 100. Left-hand side is 54 out of 100. Now, I might add that I have artificially forced these numbers to be low because I wanted to show you what the things look like when they're bad and when they're good. This is saying, really, there's work to be done to improve things. It's a bit slow, it's a bit sluggish, it's not the greatest experiences for the mobile. On the right-hand side, almost nothing needs to be done. 93%, great score. So let's go and dive into the mobile experience one and see what's what. Now, this does get a teeny bit technical. So I'll explain what you're looking at here, but it's worth mentioning that some of these things you are going to need your web developer to provide you with support if you have one. If you don't have one, well, you can contact Aubergine. Or some of these things you might need to get your web host. If you use one of the larger platforms such as Wix or Squarespace, you might need to get in touch with their support team to see if they can help. But let's try and explain a few of these things. On the right hand side is the results. That's what comes back once you've run the test. As you can see, there's a few things there that talk about the images are too big. So properly size the images and reduce the use of JavaScript. Well, you may not be able to do that because it might be serving up functionality that the website needs. But nonetheless, if you know what the problems are, you can at least then work around it. Now, first, contentful paint, right there at the bottom. What does that mean? Some of these terms are a bit crazy, but essentially what they mean by that is it takes quite a while for the page to load to get to the main beginning content. At the point at which it starts to read actual words on the page. And you've got to try and improve that because that's the bit that Google goes, oh, what's this website about? Oh, it's this. If it can't get to that text quickly, it's going to skip off. So you've got to reduce the speed bumps in the way before it gets to that first contentful paint, that first bit of your website. Reducing image sizes, making sure that they are small in file size, not having video on the home page, not having code errors. Now, some of these things, like I say, you might not be able to affect a change. You're going to need some technical support. It might be something that doesn't take that long. It might be something that maybe some code just needs updating. But it might be there are things that you can affect the change. Think about looking at the images on your home page and could they be optimized, i.e. made a little bit smaller in file size? These are very common problems. So what this is not going to do is give you the magic bullet to be able to fix all of these things yourself. However, what it is going to do is give you the list of things that need tackling, some of which you can do, some you can't. So I'm going to move on now to another really important but often misunderstood, ignored aspect, a well-structured page. Headings, short info, then longer info. Because we all skim read. We just zip through. And that's because often we're doing it with not really that much focus. We're doing it on our phones. We're looking for textual visual markers to say, I'm at the right page. Well, guess what? Google skim reads as well. So if you're creating a web page and you need to do this for each, you need to make sure that you are using structured headings down the page, preferably sequential. What do I mean by that? Well, the page title is the H1, and then other titles, other sections on the page are H2, and then any subsections of those H3. If you know what that If you've seen that before, when you edit your web pages and it gives you the heading classes, that's what it means. You can still add the normal words and pictures in between each of those, but having it structured is very important because it tells Google, read it in this order. It also is a super help for people who have disabilities that use websites with perhaps assistive technology. So making sure that you call the page what it is. So let's just say we are I don't know, a gifts website. And on there, we've focused on a page that's got a green crocheted tote bag. Make sure the page is called green crocheted tote bag. And throughout the page, we've got some headings. What's it made of? And sizes and things like that. Making sure that it's well structured with a short description at the top so that Google can grab that bit. Some people refer to it as a rich snippet. But having fuller description about the product on the page as well is really important. Don't overload the top of the page with big pictures and videos because you're creating that speed bump. By all means have them, but not right at the top. And another tip, make sure that you use some descriptive alt text, alternative textual description on your images. Don't upload an image to your website and leave it as dsc13752.jpg because that's how it came off your phone. Make sure that it describes it. So if you are uploading a picture of the green crochet tote bag, make sure that the alt text is that. Another quick note on images. Please, 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 please do not go onto Google, search for images and download them and use them just because they're found on Google. They are not your images. They are somebody else's images. You do not have the right to use them. You are increasing the likelihood of getting a bill or a fine for using somebody else's intellectual property. There are lots of websites out there such as Pixabay and Unsplash if you're looking for generic free images. If you've got product images, take a photo. Everybody's got an iPhone or an Android phone in their pocket, and they're all 10 megapixels, more than enough for a website. So the question that everybody's asking at the moment, and probably for some time, can't AI do all of this stuff? Oh, I'm so tired. Can't AI do it? Well, for the most part, AI can do a lot of it. Yes. Don't be worried. AI is a tool, so use it. What do I mean when I talk about AI? AI is actually the wrong term. GPT is actually the right term. That's what most people use. What is it? Well, fundamentally, it's a time saver. For us small business owners, it's something that's going to save you time in writing content. It's a fast start rather than staring at a blank piece of paper. And it knows a lot, but it makes mistakes. So don't assume that everything that it spits out is exactly right. Allow review time. Make sure that it can support you and what you are saying you do or you offer. Because ultimately, these GPTs only know what they've been told. So you need to give it good prompts. I'm sure you've all given it a try. But can you use it for writing your website content? Of course you can, if you give it the right prompts. Use it to save time writing those website short descriptions. Use it to save time to write those meta descriptions. But again, please make sure you check it because it makes a lot of mistakes. Now, some people say, oh yeah, but Google and other search engines can identify it's been written by AI. At the moment, no. And if you give it the right prompts and you give it enough detail and information, the text is as creatively and unique as you would have created it. Search engine results are based on a lot of things, those 7 things that I mentioned right at the beginning, not just the words, the syntax, how the sentences are constructed. Do you remember I said about writing for people, not for robots or bots? Well, use this tool to help you. If it reads well and it tells your story or it tells the product story, use it. It's a time saver. Now, AI, or GPTs as is correctly termed, is starting to serve up commercial results like search engines. Not all of them are. Some of the GPTs, the older ones, have essentially a fixed data point where it took a snapshot of everything from a fixed data point. Some of them are a little bit more up to date and permanently connected. Gemini is pretty good. I've got a list of a few good GPTs to try when it comes to content creation. So what are they? Well, ultimately, they are windows into a huge data source. Most of the time, it's the internet. So as I said, use them to save time writing the content. For example, write me a short product description about a green crocheted tote bag made of 100% wool and see what comes back. That's the short description. Write me a fuller description with bullet points about that green crochet tote bag. The price is X, the size is Y, and see what comes back. It's going to save you time, especially if you've got 20, 30, 40 products or services for that matter. Now, it knows a lot. These GPTs know a lot because for the most part, it's read almost everything. Everything that's on the internet, pretty much, there are obviously going to be exceptions, they have read. Some of them are essentially live plugged into the internet. Some of them are, their data points are from a fixed point in time. We test a lot of the GPTs, and the most successful ones for writing website content are Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini. These have given us pretty good responses that have required little editing. Some editing, I need to reinforce the fact that some editing is required, but little editing. So should you be using AI, or rather GPT specifically, to support your small business? Yes, you should. It's a time saver. Why would you not? It's a little bit like, would you use an abacus or a calculator to add stuff up? It's a no-brainer really, isn't it? But remember this, it literally does what it's told. On your screen is one of the most famous AI GPT cock-ups. This was searched, show me a picture of wild salmon in a river. Well, the most searched for thing relating to salmon was salmon fillets. And here is a river. So whilst it is a little bit funny to look at from an image point of view, from a textual point of view, these similar kind of errors could be baked into great big large chunks of text. And so it is really important that whatever you get back in your created blocks of text, you double check it, because otherwise you could end up writing into there something just as daft. So now we're going to move on to being the expert. Now, earlier on, I talked about expressing your expertise. Everybody on today's session is an expert. You would have not gone into starting a small business or running a small business if you didn't have confidence in what you do. And I've been running Aubergine now. I set Aubergine up in July 2002. Now, that's quite a long time. I committed to starting a small business and keeping it a small business. And to say that today I know everything would be a complete lie. I do not. Every day is a school day. I am learning new every day. But there's lots that I do know, and I'm sure that there is lots that you know. So content is king. It's an old phrase, but it still prevails. Now, we have excellent tools like GPTs to help us write the words. However, you do need to share this content. You need to demonstrate to your audience, potential customers and otherwise, that you know what you're talking about and you are the right place to come to inquire about XYZ service or ABC products. It is a very old in terms of the internet. It is a very old technique, but still a successful one, and that is blogs. Write blog articles or news articles, information articles on your website. They are the perfect expression of expertise. Fresh, relevant content. Tell people what you do and exactly how you do it. Have some confidence in what you do. Now, this is really important. Nobody's going to nick your ideas. Nobody's going to copy you. Even if they do, they're not you. They're them. So have some confidence in what you do. Use social channels, and I know Catherine is going to be covering quite a lot of this in a little while. Use your social channel, Facebook, Insta, to have short little excerpts of your content with a link that goes through to that article on your website. That's the hook to get people to your website and to the point of conversion. Now, using the keywords in the right phrases is helpful, but it's not a magic bullet. Making sure that the text that you write, perhaps with the support of a GPT, is good and simple to understand. It has a start and a middle and an end. If you are talking to people about let's use the analogy that I talked about a few minutes ago, and that is a green crocheted tote bag. Why is that on my mind? Well, my wife has recently got into crocheting, and tote bags is what she's making, and they look great. Tell people how you do it. I've bought this yarn and I'm using these needles, and I'm going to try and make a bag that's this shape, and show people how you do it. Everybody loves watching things being made. Everybody loves that start to the middle to the end. Now, those people on the call today who provide services rather than products, don't think that you're excluded from this. You aren't. Because you, and let's just say you run a will writing business. There you go. That's a very important service that everybody ultimately needs. Tell the story. What does a good will look like in terms of the things that are included? How do you go about writing it? Because ultimately, whether you are telling somebody how you might make a green crocheted tote bag or how to write a will, you are expressing your expertise. So write for your audience. Tell people that story. What's a good idea is to write these things that are not too topical, so not too of the moment, so that you can, for want of a description, regurgitate them on your social channels over and over. The proper term is evergreen content. It's always green, it's always relevant. You can change those short little snippets on your social channels to encourage different audiences, different messages. But remember, write it for humans. Tell the story. Go into a GPT, and let's use our analogy of crocheting a green tote bag. We can go into the GPT and we can say, write me a 500-word blog post about making a crocheted green tote bag using this colored yarn and this type of yarn and these type of needles. See what comes back. See if it reflects how you do it, and then you can adjust it. This is the best way to use a GPT. Make sure it reads well. Usually the grammar that comes out of most GPTs is better grammar than most people can write. So read it, make sure it makes sense. It's juicy, rich content. Now, often people say to me about auto posting. Why don't I auto post this on my social channel from my website, or vice versa? Auto posting is lazy and you should stop it. Why? Why have I made that fairly blunt statement? Well, it doesn't take long to write a sort of a 20 or a 30-word short version of what the article is about. We all know, and let's talk about Facebook particularly. If you are going to create an evergreen article that's on your website, that's the full truth and the whole truth. That's the whole to a GPT and say, write me a short social post that I can use on Facebook to link to this article. And it will write it in exactly the right number of words so that they all show. And then you can put a link to that article. Why is this important? Well, people hang out on Facebook. And here's the bad news, guys. They don't hang out on your website, I'm afraid. Crushing though it is. But they do hang out on Facebook and Instagram and X and TikTok. So, less so X. Sorry, Elon. The writing that little hook, that interesting snippet of text with a picture and a link that goes through to the full article on your website takes the right journey. And they end up at your website and they go, yeah, this is good. They are the expert. I'm going to mosey around the website a little bit more. That is the perfect expression. Now, the idea behind this is that it's going to take a little time to get there. But you do have to start. Often people say, well, how often should I be doing it? Well, you should be writing at least twice a month. Twice a month is very, very important. Keeps you engaged without it being too onerous, but it also keeps your audience engaged. My recommendation would be 2 different articles a month, but you can regurgitate them, reuse the other ones the next months on and on, so that actually you could be posting every week. Now, Catherine is going to be talking about good frequencies and volumes of posting very, very shortly. But we're coming towards the end now. So here's my takeaway toolkit. Takeaway today, and measure your website speed. So head over to pagespeed.web.dev. There's the link there, and measure the speed of your website, both mobile and desktop, and see what comes back. See if there's anything that you can do to affect the speed of your website. And if there isn't anything that you can do, then engage a web developer and ask them. At least you've given them a list of something for them to be able to respond back to you. If you haven't got reviews or a review process, set it up. It's a fantastic free service, and ask people for reviews. When you're writing your content, make sure it's good, structured, and well written. Use a GPT to help you write it. And don't forget to add that page metadata, those short little descriptions that do a lot of heavy lifting on a search results page. And lastly, to reinforce, don't be afraid of using AI GPT tools. They are there as just that, tools to help you write the words, because it's mighty hard to stare at a blank page knowing that you've got to do something, whereas you can ask a tool like this to help you. So we've come to the end of the session. Hopefully you have been able to have taken away some tips to affect your website's position on Google. Catherine, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Obviously, we will be sharing the slides with everybody afterwards. Karen, sorry, I was thinking about Catherine there. So perhaps there are 1 or 2 questions that have appeared in the chat during the day.
Absolutely. I'll go by Catherine. It's absolutely fine. First of all, Mark, thank you. That was incredible. So much information. I've been making notes like a madwoman over here, so we really appreciate it. We have got quite a few questions. We won't get through them all, but what we'll do, I will send them over to Mark and we'll get back to you. So don't worry. So first one is about Firefox and Ecosia. Have I said that correctly?
Firefox.
Right, yeah, gives different results to Google. How do I make sure all search engines and browsers show the same? Can you do that?
Well, they all have different algorithms behind them. If you employ the techniques that I've talked about today, you are improving your chances of the results being consistent. The starting point is page titles, page meta, and well-constructed content. If you start there, you are going to start to homogenize the results.
Brilliant, thank you. Would you recommend Google Business and Reviews feature for sole traders? Yes.
I recommend it for everybody.
Absolutely. Okay, what is a good speed for mobile and web? Just check mine, and my mobile score is 52 and desktop is 82.
Okay, desktop's pretty good. Unless you're a web developer, you're going to struggle to get it much above that. You've not said what platform it's on. It might be on something like Squarespace or Wix, and you're not really going to be able to affect the code base. So anything above 80 is pretty good from the desktop. Mobile, anything over 50% is going in the right direction. Mobile really should be 70 and above.
Fantastic. And what's the best way to ensure website images are scaled down to the right dimensions and format? Is there a way to do it in bulk?
Oh, I wish there is in bulk. If you find one, tell me. No, you're not going to be able to do it because every image is slightly different aspect ratio and slightly different file sizes. Unfortunately, that is a time consuming thing that every website owner has to plod through. You've asked about what is the average or what is a good file size. If it is the main image on a website, try and get it below 800K, preferably more towards 500K. Anything that's in megabytes and above, you are hampering the page's speed.
Amazing. A lovely Kitta, I hope I pronounced that right, in the chat has said she knows how to do it in bulk. I'm a graphic designer, so hit her up or he up, please. Share the love. Okay. My website doesn't have many alt text, but loads of photos. So again, she needs to go back and do them all again, really. There's no quick win.
Yeah, she doesn't. She's not going to need to upload the pictures again. The
Yeah,
interface will. She's not mentioned what platform her website is on, but most web platforms will allow you to change the alt text of each image within it. So she won't need to upload them again, but she will need to add them now if they have not been added at the start.
fine. And does alternate text for websites come from the file name or is it entered separately?
Entered separately. Some platforms will create the alt text from the file name, which is why I used that example of dsc13752.jpg. If the image that you upload, perhaps it's come from your phone, that's the default file name. Some platforms will make the alt text the file name as well, which is why using correct alt text for all images is vitally important.
Okay, brilliant. Right, I don't know what this means massively, but you will. When I run our site through tools like SEMrush and SEObility, they pick up duplicate content. This duplicate content is linked to our Shopify theme. It's a repeat on product pages of delivery information. Should we ignore this or find a way around it?
You've got to find a way around it. Google and Bing hate duplicate content because basically it sees them as being spammy. Make some changes. Why don't you take that text, put it into GPT, and say, tell me the same story, but rewrite the syntax. If you've got that level, duplicate content is something that's really got to be avoided.
Got you. Perfect. How many reviews would you say should be displayed on our website? I've got dozens going back to 2021. Should I put all of them or should I just do like recent ones?
Well, if you've got loads, show loads. The more you've got, the better the experience that other people are going to look at. They're going to go, crikey, they've got hundreds of reviews. So if you've got them, show them.
Perfect. I totally agree. Go for it. And when you're setting up your business profile, do you have to put your full organization name? Can you put a shortened name? Or it's obviously consistent, right? So you're the same everywhere.
Yeah, you get a display name. Somewhere in the profile, you'll have to put the full organization's name, especially if you are a legal entity such as a limited company or an LLP or something like that. But you get a display name. So just as an example, Aubergine's business profile is just called Aubergine, but our company's actual name is Aubergine 262 Limited.
Got you. Brilliant. So as long as people have that identity,
Correct.
it should be. I have a website provided by SumUp. Does Google view that as trustworthy with all the usual SEO bits done as a website with my own domain?
Is it if it's on your own domain name and you have control over the content and you are doing the things that I have mentioned, the answer is yes. Who the website is, i.e. the provider, is largely irrelevant.
Perfect. I think that's the main ones actually. Oh, I've got one here that again, I don't quite know what it means. You will. Does it matter if you do H1, H2, and then jump to H4, for example? From Celia.
Absolutely, it matters, particularly for those people who have disabilities and use assistive technology. The heading classes, there should only ever be one H1 per page, and that's the title of the page, and then H2s, and within the H2s, H3s and H4s. The reason for this is assistive technology, particularly for those people who are loss of sight. Those headings are read in order to them audibly. So if you've got H1, H4, H3, H2, it's going to read that content in the wrong order. So it matters.
Totally matters. Fantastic. I have thousands of reviews on eBay. Is there any way I can use these for Google reviews and website? No.
No, sorry. Reviews are within the platforms to where they are left, which is why services like Trust Index. So if you're looking for something to homogenize, or rather bring together all of your reviews, there's services like trustindex.io, where you can define different places from where to get your reviews, and then it'll display them within a bar, but it's a paid for service. But basically, if all your reviews are on eBay, they're locked within eBay.
Got you. Brilliant. We'll have to wrap it up, unfortunately. What I'll do, Mark, we've got a couple more questions. I will save them and we'll send them over to you. And if you have any more, while you're watching this, anybody, if you email us at hello@smallbusinessbritain.uk, we will get to that. On the last page of the presentation, I don't know if you saw it, we had our link to get back to Lloyds Bank Academy. A huge thank you to them for supporting us on this wonderful visibility day today. Here we go. If you've got any feedback on this incredible webinar, please do let us have it. And thank you again to Lloyds. Thank you for joining us. Go get a quick drink. I hope you're back for 11 o'clock, where you're going to have the wonderful Catherine George talking all about how to get visible on social. So a huge, huge thanks, Mark. You were amazing as always. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Everybody, take care. Bye-bye.